What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog back in Standard here with Naya counters. So yeah, obviously we've seen Selesnya, we've seen Golgari, and we've seen Abzan counters, and those are probably the best versions. Naya doesn't really anything too spicy, kind of forcing it a little bit just to kind of see what we can do. Originally I was kind of forcing the Shatterskull Charger in the main, but end up moving to the sideboard. You can kick it for 5 mana, and then it will have a counter on it. So it's a little bit slow, but definitely in certain matchups it can be a pretty powerful card, especially with red being our splash color. Just didn't quite make sense having like a double red card here in the main. So just move it to the sideboard just so we can kind of play it matchup dependent. In the main deck, though, we still have the Hobblefiend, just 2 copies, though. It's not really anything super amazing, but definitely can be interesting, especially with how much removal there is. It's a 2-mana 2/1 with Trample, and you can pay 1 to sack another creature to put a +1 counter on Hobblefiend. So obviously, your opponent's going to be looking at this and not be too impressed by it. They're probably going to be targeting the removal of your other creatures, and you can just, hopefully you have open mana, and then you can sack that creature in response, and then start growing the Hobblefiend into a real threat. That's kind of the idea here. But it's not always going to work out that way for you. So just 2 copies. We got 3 copies here of Swarm Shambler. It gives us value with all of our +1 counter creatures, because whenever any of them become a target of a spell, we'll get to create a 1/1 green insect creature token. That just becomes targeting of a spell. So if it's just like a bounce effect or something, they want to bounce one of your creatures back to your hand for some reason, well, you still get the 1/1 token, and then you can just recast it the next turn. If it's a kill spell, well, you lose your creature, but you still get a 1/1 token out of it. And of course, we can pay 1, tap it to put counters on the Swarm Shambler, so just grow it. So if it's not able to attack in because your opponent has bigger creatures, well, you can just kind of sit back, leave open mana open to keep growing it. Luminarch Aspirant, of course, one of the best things you can be doing with counters. Finally got a playset of these. 2 mana 1/1, putting the +1 counter on a creature you control beginning of combat. 3 copies of Inscription of Abundance. Fantastic. Definitely the best inscription by far, I would say. Just the casting cost and what it does definitely hits all the marks here. For 2 mana, you get instant speed, or for kicker speed, for kicker, 5 mana total. You choose one. If it was kicked, you choose any number instead. Put 2 +1 counters on the creature. Target player gains X, where X is the greatest power among creatures they control. And target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. So it's removal. Got the counter synergy going on, a little bit of life gain. Because sometimes with the counter synergy, kind of be a little bit slow to kind of get set up, depending on what your opening hand is and things like that. Conclave Mentor, another source of life gain potentially, but more importantly, whenever you put +1 counters on a creature, you put that many plus an additional +1 counter on that creature instead. And when it dies, you gain life equal to its power. It's naturally a 2 mana 2/2. Banishing Light, just for some utility removal, kind of played around with like different cards. Could also maybe include like some Soul Seers in this spot, but we're gonna go Banishing Light just because of the versatility here in the main deck, not knowing what our opponent might be up to here, and then we can kind of adjust from there. But maybe Soul Seer as a 1 or 2 might be worth looking at instead of all 4 Banishing Lights, because there's a fair amount of enchantment removal. Oran-Rief Ooze, really love this card, super fun. 3 mana 2/2 comes in, puts a +1 counter on something. Whenever it attacks, you put a +1 counter on each attacking creature that already has a +1 counter on it. So it just keeps growing your team super big, and things get out of control. First Iroan games gives us a creature token when it comes down, then we get to put 3 +1 counters on a creature you control, and then we have a creature power 4 greater to draw 2 cards, then we get to make a gold token. So all these modes are relevant. Lets us kind of add additional creatures to the board, so we can kind of jump block with that 1/1 token, putting counters on some of our bigger threats and keep attacking in with them. And then we get to draw a couple cards. And we also get a gold token. We have some X spells and things like that. So this lets us go a little bit bigger on our X spells. 4 copies here of Basri's Lieutenant. 3/4 Vigilance Protection multicard. When it enters, put a counter on a creature you control. And whenever it or another creature you control dies, if it had a +1 counter, you get a 2/2 White Knight creature token with Vigilance. So it's fantastic. Kind of like the Swarm Shambler here, basically kind of replaces itself. 2 copies here of Garruk. We have lots of creatures that can get counters, get really, really big. But if they can't get through for damage, if your opponent just has like a bunch of tokens that can jump block with you, or smaller creatures, that kind of feels bad. Garruk says, well, that creature has +3/+3 and trample. So we can really turn our big creatures into some serious threats, no matter what our opponent is doing. And if we just need to go wide, we can also -2 to make a 3/3 beast token. Wildwood Scourge is our big X creature here. When it enters, plus X1 counters on it, and whenever 1 or more counters are put on a non-Hydra creature control, you put a +1 counter on the Wildwood Scourge. We don't have any other Hydras, so pretty much everything else in the deck is going to synergize with this. Mana base here, keeping it pretty simple, not doing any spell lands or anything like that. So 2 plains, 1 mountain, 3 forest, 4 Cragcrown Pathways, 4 Needleverge Pathways, 2 Temple Abandoned, 2 Temple Triumph, 2 Temple of Plenty. Trying to keep the tap lands to a minimum, so that's why just the 2 of. Especially since we have access to all the pathways here, it'll give us all the fixing we need, pretty much. And other than Garruk and the Conclave Mentor, our casting cost is pretty fantastic. You know, we have just single pips here for all of these, and then colorless for the rest. So allows us to be very, very flexible. Not have to worry about our mana as much as we would with other decks. Alright, so we want to worry about bigger creatures. We got the Giant Killer here, being able to destroy a creature power 4 or greater instant speed, and just playing it down as a 1/2 creature for 1 mana that can pay 2 and tap a creature. 2 Chainweb Aracnirs. Has the escape synergy for the 3+1 counters on it, and it can fight creatures with flying, so good against the rogues and other kind of mill type strategies. 2 Drannith Magistrates to shut down the adventurer and escape. 2 copies of the Shatterskull Charger, which we kind of talked about a little bit. 2 Klothys. It's going to be our graveyard interaction instead of Scavenging Ooze, which is kind of the obvious one, but since we're in 3 colors, sometimes it can be a little bit awkward to have the Scavenging Ooze plus green mana to cast it, but if you want to run that instead, that's certainly understandable. We're going to run Klothys instead. It's a little bit more versatile, especially against like control decks and things like that. They don't always have good ways to deal with the indestructible threat like this. Ox of Agonis, since again red is our splash card, I don't want to go too heavily into this, so we got the just 1 copy here. But yeah, it's fantastic against the mill type strategies. Vivien can come in against the grindier matchups, making of course beast tokens and helping us chain together our creatures. Since we are very, very creature heavy, we can either -2 to cast additional creatures, or just play creatures off top of our library. And 2 copies here of Purphoros Intervention, again just having more ways to deal with bigger threats on our opponent's side. And yeah, that's us. We'll jump into some matches. Alright, against Chains of Anubis 13. That's a pretty sweet name. Seems fine. It gives us a turn 2 Conclave Mentor. Already have 1, so bottom out. Just look for more lands here so we can get some value off these Wildwood Scourges, I think. Uh-oh, Golgari. Red's our splash, so definitely want this on white. And we'll just get the Mentor down. If we're stuck on lands, we can always play the Wildwood Scourge for X1. Then, of course, we'll get an extra counter from the Conclave Mentor if the Conclave Mentor is still alive. Okay, Brushwag, Bloodchief Service? Nope, perfect. Swarm Shambler is interesting too, but yeah, I think we want to just be mana efficient and get our Wildwood Scourge online. So stuck on lands, but I mean this is the hand. If you want to be stuck on 2 lands, this is kind of the hand to do that with. Okay, opponent, you've got 1 mana open. Do you want to do something here or not? It's nice to kind of keep things moving along here, maybe. Not sure what they would have in speed. There's Cling to Dust and black, 1 mana, instant. But not too much else. Not too many combat tricks I can think of that are standard legal at the moment. Maybe I'm missing something for 1 mana. Most of them are 2. Alright. Malefic Scythe. Not a card that sees a lot of play. I'm kind of curious. It's 1/2 equip. Okay, so you got a 2/2 Brushwag. No attacks. We're still stuck on the lands. How about that? We'll just keep running out these Scourges. Say no attacks. If we do find untapped land, tempting to go Swarm Shambler into Hobblefiend. Could also just Iroan games. Okay, another Scythe. They're going to put it on the Brushwag again. So we got themselves a 3/3. Starting to get a real threat over there. Banishing Light is now looking pretty tempting, especially since I can pump up their dude. Not entirely sure it's worth it. Oh yeah, we don't have access to both. It's just Iroan games to try to draw our way out of this. They can pay to give trample, so it would be 7/7. So I'm not sure it's worth blocking. If they play something first and can't activate, then we maybe block with the token. But yeah, as it is, put the counters on the Conclave Mentor would be ideal. It'll grow the Wildwood Scourges and make the Mentor pretty big as well. And it does count itself whenever counters are put on a creature you control, not another. Okay, they go for the... where is it? Infernal Scarring. +2/+0 when it dies. Okay, well, they're able to Heartless Act our Mentor before we can get that value. That sucks. Yeah, we'll just put it on the token then. Still grow our Scourges, the 3/3s. I'll play the Scourge here, I guess. No attacks. So we're in a little bit of a stall here. But we do have the Banishing Light at some point. Maybe next turn we just Swarm Shambler or Banishing Light and get to Kraken here for some serious damage. We'll take one hit. If they want to pump it up, take 9. It's not terrible. It'll put us at, what, 13? I'd love them to just activate here. Nope. Alright, what else do you got, opponent? Some more removals. Wow. Getting all the card advantage, growing their Scythes. Drawn a lot of cards. Fetid Imp with open mana. No, you're gonna equip instead. Perfect. So no Death Touch. No Death Touch. We got some card draw because our human token's alive. Now we got some lands. Now we're cooking with fire. Yeah, still think we go for... Well, let's just do the mana efficient play. We'll play the Hobblefiend into Banishing Light and then get the Kraken here. Alright, so we were stuck on lands and now we're drawing a little bit too many lands. So, deck, if you could just kind of balance things out a little bit, that would be nice. So opponent's got some spice over there. Not too many creatures, but lots of other effects. Now I got a 3/6 Death Toucher. Or 5/8, so I go for the equip. Another land was not what we were looking for. Alright. Still probably worth swinging out here. I assume they block something bigger, and then we'll sack it to the Hobblefiend. Whoa. Did they just misclick, or did they give up? I guess they were basically dead anyways, right? Huh. So lots of equipments, making the creatures pretty swole. They do have some removal with the Heartless Axe. Garruk, probably not quite what we're looking for. Giant Killer is pretty interesting. Swarm Shambler could still be good. Alright, we're bringing one intervention and 2 Giant Killers, shave off the Garruk, and 1 Swarm Shambler. Try like that. Swarm Shambler is good value from protecting the Heartless Axe, or at least replacing itself from removal. But that's a little bit slow, especially if they're just going to be kind of going Voltron over there. Missing white. We'd have Temple though. On the draw. Well, we can see what we hit first before we want to just Swarm Shambler on 1, or if we just want a Temple here and try to dig for some white mana that way. Okay, there's white. Perfect. Yeah, get it on green. Swarm Shambler, come on down. And we'll play the Aspirant next turn and start going to town. Put the counter on the Aspirant first, I think, just so we can have everything have counters on it, hopefully. Of course, they could go Swamp and hold open Heartless Act here in response. Alright, against Lycos. Go first. 1 land. Come on, man. Wow. I mean, let's try it. Ozolith. What are the odds that we would just draw nothing but lands here? Knights. Is that 3 straight lands here? Alright, we'll just play it. Let's just play it. We're going to do the Iroan games next turn, so... see if they have a glass casket or something. Nope, just all the Venerable Knights. Take 2, down to 18. Nothing else. Iroan games, give me a 1/1 token. A pretty terrible start here. See what we can do. From no lands in our opening hand to mulligan to 6 with basically all the lands. Basri Cat's pretty terrible for us. Indestructible 3/2. Alright, another land. Why wouldn't we keep drawing the land? So we can kill the Basri here. We're starting at 5 damage. I think we'll have to take it. Maybe we should attack with the Scourge there since we're not going to block. But if they have some pump effect or some way to make these dudes bigger, then we'll have to do it in an emergency. So. Okay, now we're starting to do some stuff. So the Iroan game is pretty clutch. Well, we can only do... Well, we could Basri's and Inscription just for 1, but that doesn't seem quite good enough. Let's kick it. Me. So they're going to put a counter on the Knight, plus the Ozolith will put a counter on it as well. Sure. We'll gain 6 life, grow our creatures. Get some counters, but still starting at a 3/2 for now, eventually 4/2, unless you want to put the counter on the Ardenvale Tactician. Next turn we'll have 7 to Basri's, or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7 for Basri's and Oran-Rief Ooze, so that's pretty good. They have their own Basri's. Makes sense, an Ozolith deck. Putting the counter on the Venerable Knight just to maximize damage, I guess, and then put the counter from Ozolith onto Basri, I would assume. Okay. Not sure why they want to put counters on all of their things. Also with the gold token as well. Alright, Basri's. Yeah, we'll just Basri's into Oran-Rief. Seems fine. And now all of our creatures have counters on them. I have the Banishing Light next turn. Force them to block. We can double block and kill it. Well, no, 3, 5. Yeah, they couldn't kill our 6/6. They could easily take it as well. They're running low on resources here. So probably banishing the Basri's Lieutenant, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Okay, pay 1 and tap it to put counters on the Venerable Knight. I mean, Inscription is pretty good too. I think with the gold token, I think we actually get to do all the things. Okay, they get their counters. Me. So you and you. Alright, so Basri do not have a token on it. We've gained 1,000,000 life thanks to the inscription. Oh man, look at that Wildwood Scourge. Ooh. Oh, that was nice. That was a rough start, man. Ooh. That was a rough start. Well, we have Banishing Light for the Ozolith. Yeah, we'll probably just have to focus on their creatures like we did there. Huh. So that was our only adventure. Planeswalkers. I mean, they can go wide here, so I don't think our Planeswalkers gonna be very good. So we'll bring in the Purphoros Intervention. I don't think we're at a Vivien matchup here. Shatterskull is definitely better against removal heavy decks as well. Chainweb, if it escapes, it can fight and do stuff. Giant Cure, maybe. Maybe Giant Cure for Hobblefiend. We'll see how game 2 goes. That was a pretty sweet comeback. Yeah, that Iroan games, drawing us cards really came through clutch. We're stuck on all the lands there. So mono white Ozo, that's pretty interesting. Seems like there's just enough synergy. I mean, Basri Lieutenant is a knight, so that works with the Venerable Knight. And they're an Arnvale Tactician, which is kind of a good tempo play to kind of get your creatures with all the counters on them through for damage. It's pretty interesting. Let's take a look and see what other kind of pump effects you have. I don't know, the little... There's like a 1/2 that paid 1 to put counters on something. Not quite sure that was worth it. If it's a knight, I guess maybe has synergy there. But I don't know, I think I'd look at more combat tricks if I was going to do something like that. But yeah, pretty cool deck idea. I like what they're doing. Certainly not something I've seen before or thought of. They even got the sleeves. Alright, this is a much better hand. So Temple into Mentor. Got the Banishing. We got the... I think Basri is pretty good. We do want lands, but 3 in hand we're likely to draw. Start drawing some. Okay, Tempered Veteran. So it is a knight. Okay. I see. Well, we'll play our Mentor. And probably Ooze here. And then we have options to Wildwood Scourge for 2 or 3 the turn after if we draw untapped land or not. And we'll save our removal for when we really need it. That might be something we need to remove. They can swing 2 here. No, they want to be defensive. Protect their Basri. Got it, got it. Okay, well we have double white, double green here, so I'll play that as a white source. Don't want to deal with Basri before it gets out of control. No attacks. Alright, so next turn, Oran-Rief Ooze, Temple of Abandon, looks like. Ooh, even running the Idyllic Range. I wonder how many copies they're running. I always try to run it, but it just seems awkward. Like, the decks you want to run it in, you don't really want tap lands. Because you have to have three or more planes, yeah. Youthful Knight. That's a good one to put counters on, yeah. First strike. Another Tempered Veteran. Not sold on that one, but I mean they've gotten some decent value off of it, so can't really complain. I think we just take our beats here. Ooh, that's pretty spicy. With the Wildwood Scourge. That's pretty spicy. I got first strike, so no attacks. So next turn we have options to Scourge Or Inscription. Yeah, we probably want to deal with that. That's pretty nasty. Really? Do we block here? 7? Do they have Light of Hope? They have Light of Hope. Oh no, they have mana to make it a 4/4. Oops. That probably cost us here. Probably gonna cost us. That sucks. We'll Scourge for 2. Luminarch Aspirant. Alright, now we got ourselves a 5/5. But they have the Tempered Veteran, though, that can pump, so... Yeah, opponent is definitely getting some value off these Tempered Veterans, so I guess they know what they're doing over there. Dude. They're going through their cards like crazy. Well, we can gain life off the Inscription, so I think we just take it here. Well, they already tapped their Veteran. I'm not sure what that was about. Maybe they're trying to bait me because they do have a Light of Hope in hand. Wow, they do not go for it. I think we need to deal with this before it gets out of control. So we're going to put counters here, here. You fight you. So the counters go on first. The Wildwood Scourge will grow. Alright. Luminarch is the smallest one, so we'll grow that. Huh. I think it fought before it got the counters. Did it go in reverse order? Because it had like one... That's not how we wanted it. Yeah, we'll take your 7 here. Alright, Basri's not an untapped land. Well, I think we still do the most efficient play and just get our lieutenant down. Do we just have lethal here? Yeah, we just have lethal. Because the opponent was a little bit too aggressive there. Maybe they just saw that they weren't going to be able to come back. So yeah, pretty sweet. All right, so Naya counters a little bit forced to. Red is a little bit forced. Selesnya, even Golgari, and Abzan are probably just your your better bets if you're serious about a counters deck. But just want to give it a try. I thought it was kind of interesting. Obviously, red doesn't have a ton of support for counters. Hobblefiend is kind of one of the better options here. But solid removal. It is kind of spicy. It is kind of a decent inclusion, but we're running just the 2 copies. Maybe you could try to jam 3 or 4. I'm not sure what you would cut though, because all the other things just are a little bit better. Obviously, it does give us some nice sideboard tech. I do like Shatterskull Charger, but like I said, with red just being kind of the splash color. The pathways are nice, but then it's kind of hard to pull off double red, double green, double white, things like that. Although, to be fair, our deck is pretty flexible for the most part. We do need, obviously, green and white for the Conclave Mentor, but everything else is pretty easy to cast. The Garruk is kind of the one thing that's double green, but everything else is just a single pip. So you might actually be able to get away with it. Just when I was doing some early testing, it just felt a little clunky having it in the main deck, so I just moved it to the sideboard. But obviously, I'm a big fan of this card. It definitely pops up in a lot of my lists, even just out of some sideboard to kind of give a different look against like control decks and things like that. Obviously, running Klothys here, but you could just run, run Selesnya and just like Scavenging Ooze. You have Ox of Vagonis, kind of give us a little bit of a different look here for the mill strategies and Purphoros Intervention, which I'm a big fan of, but doesn't really see a whole lot of play. It's a nice scalable removal. Could also be a finisher here with the X. But yeah. Selesnya still has pretty decent, combinations. Even Golgari, which we've done Golgari counters a little bit before. So, is it worth going red for? Not necessarily. If your goal is to just rank up and win games and crush it on the ladder, yeah, just stick to one of those 3 color combinations: the Selesnya, Golgari, or Abzan, maybe even in that order. Maybe Abzan over Golgari, not sure. But definitely Selesnya is probably the better of the three, I would think. But yeah, otherwise felt pretty good with this list. Garruk is definitely kind of a flex one. It could be here, could put something else in here. Try to keep the mana count low. That's why Vivien just in the sideboard. But yeah, really impressed by the Iroan games. I don't think we want to run all 4 of, because it can be a little bit awkward sometimes. Because if you're not able to get creatures on board, or your opponent just kind of kills everything that you play, then you put your Iroan games down, make a 1/1, and then they kill that as well. And then you go to put your counters on something, and you have no board. Then you don't draw the cards. You get a gold token. So yeah, it was kind of awkward sometimes. That's why we're not running all 4. But definitely need some removal, so that's why I'm running Banishing Light, just for the utility. But yeah, like I said, you could look at like Soul Seer, things like that, but I've been pleased with the Banishing Light overall. Obviously, certain matchups can feel pretty bad when your opponent, is able to deal with it. But yeah, Inscription of Abundance is, man, this card is so good. Love this card. And then all the counter synergy with Wildwood Scourge, pretty sweet. And the Swarm Shambler, Basri's Lieutenant package. But again, they're just the basic kind of Selesnya cards. So yeah, if you want to do something a little bit different but still kind of stick with the counter synergy, this is kind of another option for you. Naya colors. Shatterskull Charger is pretty sweet. It has the counter synergy. Ox of Agonis, of course, with the escape has the counter synergy, but otherwise not necessarily a huge red influence on this deck, but something different. It's a little bit different look. So that's how we like to do things around here. So thanks for watching, guys. Till next time, make sure you jank with a